Public portion of the commissioners' meeting. We left the executive session, and we are at the point where we're entertaining a motion of entering into a contract for an option on land.
I was moved that the county enter an option agreement for land for a correctional facility site, as discussed in executive session, and that we allocate $20,000 for the option fee.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Do we have further discussion regarding that? Seeing none, all those in favor?
All right.
At this point, do we have additional items on the agenda that you would like to take up, Mr. Administrator?
Yes, I think finance is going to wait. I'll just say, well, that was me. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, we can move to facilities.
Yeah, Mr. McDonald, would you like to share with us some details? We have a chair prepared for you right
Yeah.
here.
That's great. I'm not gonna have a chair over here.
Oh, yeah.
I'll hide.
Yeah, we can go.
Thanks for your patience.
Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. What else am I gonna do?
I know. But you'll tell us a couple of things you're gonna do.
So first you have on the list is Franklin Street. We have what I hope is a finished drawing. We met with the sheriff and his staff probably a month ago now, and Joshua revised the drawing, and I've sent it back, and the sheriff mentioned a concern to me earlier today that, so I think we're good with the current drawing. So what we're gonna do next is write a Word document to identify the specifics, instead of doing a drawing for finished floor, for finished ceiling. We're just gonna try to cover it all in a Word document.
Spec sheet for the RFP.
Right, we want this, we want this, we want this.
Yep.
And then, in a matter of days, I'll be ready to publish an RFP, and we'll go from there. We have, I keep bringing it up, but one of the things that makes it difficult for a timeline is the fire marshal's gonna be involved in this because of the size of the renovation, and we'll have to sprinkle the building almost 100% water. So that will add to a little bit of time, obviously the cost, etc. But it is what it is. The sheriff just brought up, it's at the last hour to, maybe we're so close to a jail being a possibility and the DA's office being screaming for space. Maybe that renovated space in Franklin Street isn't the sheriff's department, but it's the DA's office. I don't think that would work because it's not large enough to contain the entire DA's office, and one of the things Chelsea's trying to do is stop being in multiple places. So that said, that's what I told the sheriff as he exited earlier. What we're gonna build is basically office space. There's no armory, there's no ammo vault, there's nothing specific to a sheriff's department or a police department or anything. So we're just doing office space. So if they don't end up moving down there,
HR.
You can rent it.
we can, yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. And finance.
Still not quite far enough away, actually, but anyway, no, but it's, you get what we're saying. If they decide not to move down there, then we have
Additional space.
additional space for others.
Yeah.
County needs,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah, to fulfill county.
That makes sense.
So that's about it, what I have. So part of what we did prior to this is the HVAC renovation in that building. That is continuing. All of the pieces outside are in place. Mechanical Services has been working the past couple of weeks, running the coolant, the refrigerant lines and everything to where they need to be inside. There are a couple of places that I've given them a copy of our floor plan, so that gives them an idea of where they can put the internal pieces. So we're there right now. They'll be placing those shortly, and that should be done, you know, possibly by summer. So that's about
Summer
it
of
with Franklin
25.
Street. Yeah,
Okay,
hopefully, I mean like in months instead of, you know, seasons,
Okay.
so. HVAC for this building, I met with a company, EEI, I think it's Energy Efficiency Incorporated, I think, but, and they come up with a lot of out of the box. They had 4 different options, and they were significantly outside the box. They were also in the $3 to $5 million range. And they said they could probably get half, help us find funding for about half. And then it just is like saying good morning. She said, then you just put the rest in your budget. And as I talked to Scott the other day, I said, if I added $1 million to my budget, I think,
but we do have allocated funds from ARPA, do we not?
Yep,
Okay,
yes.
so there's your budget.
well,
Up
so
to
then,
1
but the
is it
mechanical
1.5?
services, the mechanical services estimate for this building, and really just this building alone, I have asked them to revise it. I want to get rid of all the pneumatics, and the sheriff's offices and over there still has some. So that would be a slight change, but right now they're to do, I believe, I have to read it again, but I believe it's everything but the basement in this building. Revise all new equipment, all new, you know, VAB boxes and things. More, basically, I'm hoping every office has their own thermostat instead of having 3 or 4 sharing, because that never works. You know, you like it 60, you want it 80, and you share a thermostat. It's never gonna work. That price is $1.4 million. So they have been here for 20 some odd years, and have been our vendor for that, you know, so comparing, even with the EEI quotes, they just give you the quote and give you the material, and then you find someone to do the work. So it would most likely be mechanical services doing the work anyway. So I can continue if you want, but that's the information we have to date right now. The mechanical services, I think it's a good, they understand the building better than anybody else, including any of us here. So, namely myself, they know more about what's happened here in the last 20 years than anybody with regards to the heating and air conditioning. We didn't include the annex. They feel that equipment is relatively new versus what we have here, and
And when we talk about that, we're talking about the annex out here,
Yes.
not the Franklin Street.
correct. And not knowing what might come of that building, you know, I know at one point that was in a previous jail project that was going to be torn down, but
Well, we can't do that now, we're moving our.
yeah. So, but he didn't feel it was worth changing it. It still has some life left in it, so that building's not included. But like I said, I did ask them to revise to include the pneumatics. Doesn't make sense to remove 85% of them and keep the compressor we have in the boiler room running 24/7 for 6 or 8 offices. So to me, it makes sense to get rid of all of them.
Did the EEI quote include the annex?
I believe so. But again, some of their options included drilling thermal wells. Like I said, they were really outside the box. Put a building on top of the annex full of big giant fans that feeds every place. And I don't know that they got the full scope of how difficult it is to work on this building with 2-foot thick walls and things like that. So, and again, what they came up with, they're great ideas. I just don't know that they would play well here.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's what I have for that. I meant to include a copy of their proposal. I don't know that I did, and again, it's being revised, so it would go up a little bit.
I didn't think it was actually finished yet, but yeah.
I do have one.
We're still within the budget figure of the 1.7, 1.8, something like that.
Yeah. So that's something that once I get that revised price, I'll pass it along and we'll give you that information.
If I could, Brian, so the question on that one really is whether we go out to RFP or not. Size of the project, the scope of it probably should, and we could. But again, and just for consideration, I think with mechanical services knowledge of the building and the equipment here, you know, so you get in a position afterwards, if somebody else does it, well, who do I call? You know, it's their job. So maybe just a pretty general RFP to circulate it out there, see what else we get for responses, whether it's Johnson Controls or whoever. That's the route that you would prefer. And again, working within the budget of 1.7, it's almost 1.8, I think, with ARPA that's left over designated for that project. The mechanical services seems to fit within that. But, so are you thinking we to develop an RFP and kind of test it out there?
I think that makes sense.
I mean, with that size of a project, at least do due diligence.
One concern I have with that is Johnson Controls, or I believe Siemens was here before mechanical service.
They've been here, yeah, I remember that, yeah.
So, but someone who hasn't been here, Train or Johnson Controls, or they don't know mechanical services and Siemens know more about this building than others. So they know that you're gonna drill through 2-foot thick block. So their price could be higher than others who don't know the building well enough. So it's just, I'm just cautious that you might get Johnson Controls come in with a number that's significantly lower, and you consider hiring them, but then they double their price in change orders because they didn't
You
know
can have a
that.
pre-bid conference and go over those.
Right, they were getting into, so.
But I think where we're at as a commission is we want to go forward with the RFP process.
Yeah, simple enough.
I'm not saying that we won't take those factors into consideration,
Yeah.
because cheapest is not always.
And like Dan said, if I do my job in, pre-bid meetings, then it should equal the playing field a little bit.
Yeah, good.
Level playing field. We okay with that for now?
Going forward with the RFP, yes.
What was the I and the EEI? What was the I again?
Incorporated, I believe.
INC.
And again, I think that's the name.
Energy Efficiency Incorporated, okay, I just,
No, investments.
Investment,
Yeah, that's what you have on that.
So we've gone back and forth for quite a while about a storage building out back. I reached out to the code office in Bangor, and the setbacks are 10 foot on the sides, I believe, and 30 feet on the rear. That, and another, like earlier we talked about, we would also have to go to the Bangor Planning Board. And they have already told me they would need a full set of plans, full set of drawings, and we don't have any of that right now. We didn't plan on doing any of that. I just wanted to point it at the space and say, hey, give me a price to put a building right here. Because of the setbacks, I think we would lose an awful lot of the back of the parking lot, the back end of our parking lot, especially where we are looking at possibly getting rid of the Y property. If we were to make that a parking lot, or maybe convince Bangor to trade that for for their little lot down here, it might not be as much of an inconvenience.
You still need some level of storage, especially if we're gonna require that tractor and trailer, right?
Correct. We do need some storage. The thought was, like, right now we have a Connex box down there. And one thought was we get a second one and build a roof, and spread them apart, and then put trusses over it and make in between and then fence it in. And
Would that be, is that tarred underneath or dirt underneath?
it's tar right
Between the
now,
two.
but it's not very level. The one we have down there right now is, one corner is probably up 2 feet on blocks. Not great, but where that would be considered not permanent,
Right.
we might be able to just do it and not worry about the setbacks as much. I'm not in favor of intentionally breaking the rules, but I think that would be easier to do than
Meet the bare minimum.
a building. And another thing about the building is we don't have, utilities are tough. I know the maintenance guys want to make it, almost into the shop. And like, well, that's not gonna happen. And I've just decided not to fight that fight right now, but yeah, they want power and water and heat and all that. That those just add to the difficulties. That said, it's doable, for sure, and I do have a price. I have one price. I've contacted several smaller builders, and one of the smallest said, yeah, send me your plans. Well, I don't have plans, I just have a vision. We have a picture in our head, so. Well, anyway, Guy Bouchard gave us a price, and it does not include the garage doors because PDQ hasn't, to this point, has been unwilling to give them a price, but right now it's $110,000.
What's the dimensions of the building?
Foundation, concrete, framing, 24 by 40.
We allocated 200,000
Oh,
of
so
it?
that's just that's a basic garage.
So how much we allocated?
What's that?
That's a standard two-car garage.
So it'd be 2 doors up front, and we had talked about one in the back.
Yeah.
So if we fenced it in, we'd want to be able to get in behind it, and this would allow us to use the back of the building as storage as well, behind the
But
building.
that other option wouldn't be nearly, if you just got the containers and put the roof on it, and then we could always sell those when we're done,
Yeah.
anyway.
And we could fence it in, and, I know, talking with George from the UT, they're gonna use the tractor probably more than we would, so I think the plan is to have them buy it. And I understand completely, he doesn't wanna buy it until we can safely lock it up, so, and it makes sense, so.
Are you gonna have the required setbacks if we have Comex boxes?
We can, but much like the other, right now, the box that's down there, I only have a rough idea with it, just using the city's maps shows where the lines are. Obviously, we would have to bring in somebody like Pliska to do the lines. I have an idea where they are. I don't know that we're probably not meeting the rear setback right now with that box that's out there right now.
Yeah, no, it's 30 feet probably.
No, I don't think so. We probably have 15 feet right there right now, but again, not knowing exactly where the line is, it's an estimate.
Who owns the land that the box is on?
We did.
We do.
We do, but the city.
The city
the
surrounds
setback,
us, everybody, every day.
The city's the abutter?
Yeah,
Yes.
They're gonna complain, 10 feet?
Yeah.
Well, it's their,
Well, the trade-off,
whatever their land
Come
use,
on.
whatever their land use ordinance is,
I know.
those are the rules we have to
I think
follow.
if you went with a couple Connex boxes and, you know, in the roof in a secured area, and if you didn't do the roof, I would like to see the roof, but that would be more than sufficient, I think, for now.
Yeah,
As far as parking, I think when I look at it, like, the area that I envision it being fenced off would include a lot of where, like, the sheriff's vehicles are now, and why wouldn't we want them behind the locked door as well? I mean, if there's new vehicles sitting down there, that's part of some of the concern too, so if we could, what I'd like to see is if we could have it doesn't have to be to scale, but something as close, if we could come up with some sort of a conceptual, your visual drawing, to kind of see what we're looking at, I think would be the first step, because like you said, your vendors are asking for drawings and ideas of what needs to be done, and that would certainly help with both determining approval of the project from the commissioner and moving forward with any pricing.
You put the tractor in between them.
Yeah,
yeah, and if we did put the
Tractor's
roof
on
on,
a
it would be
trailer,
it would be under a roof
Right.
and inside the lock
and
door.
the back end, actually, I mean, if you get a 30-foot setback, you could leave some of that, don't put the fencing all the way back there, and, because you're gonna need a place for snow. And push it through there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if every time I put up a fence, it was always right on the line.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if that can be
Right.
done or not. I
Yeah,
don't know.
well-
Some say you know, some say.
You got two options there, either if you can or you can't, if you can't, you gotta, use up a snow storage. Okay, that'd be awesome.
I suspect the guy selling us the fence and installing it, I'm getting that figured out. But you think the city's the abutter, should they help us out? Any more good news?
The last thing I have on my list is and then I do have some changes and some requests, but, the Commissioners Chambers relocation, and so I do have a list of things that Hillary would like in the probate court. She'd like them done. The only person that has responded so far to come look at it is Guy Bouchard. And Kevin is, his right-hand man is Kevin, I don't know his last name, but he does pretty decent work. He built the judge's office, he helped us down in the wellness center, and he works by himself, he's pretty diligent. I would like to have him take a look. I don't know if you're aware, but I know Chelsea would like this wall either removed or opened. Okay.
which is this wall or that wall?
This wall right here, along with the TV.
Right, actually, then have to, obviously. But what do they need for the probate? What do they need down in the room? Or
She
why not?
wants, if you can picture the judge's bench, and on his right-hand side is a witness
Witness stand
stand.
with a glass petition.
She would like, well, the glass is going, because that was all COVID stuff.
COVID,
It's just plexiglass with a strapping
Yeah.
frame. She would like the same box built on the other side. And she would like some changes to the wall that separates the crowd from.
Yeah, with the swinging doors.
Yeah.
and-
Bar,
The problem is trying to match what was built when that room was built. That will be the difficult part, trying to make it look
Where does she
like.
want to move the witness box?
She doesn't want to move it, she wants a second box on the other side of
On
the,
the opposite side.
correct.
looks like you get some similar paneling here.
Yeah, this is,
Well, as she was leaving, she said, why can't you use this? So, to be determined. I don't know that the finish is the same, but it
but they
will
would
be.
do that while they're still doing
Well, if you're gonna do
probate.
that, you can make room for
That
three
shouldn't hold
seats
us
up
up from
there.
going in. The only thing that should hold us up is the internet, getting the video set up down there, wouldn't it? Yes, they can still do that. We're only taking 3 hours on
Right.
Tuesday morning.
Yeah, I think
Or
this other
Wednesday.
stuff.
I mean, on Wednesday.
Yeah, it can be Tuesday.
Yeah, Wednesday.
Well, and she just wanted that extra box for the three of you to sit. You know, one at the judge's chair.
Oh, if that's
and-
what's for, because I think we were thinking, we're
No,
in front, on a table like this,
Yeah.
in front of it.
No, I think that's exactly what I was getting there. You move the box and move it out, you've got a room for three, and you bring the paneling down, you've saved yourself a whole, you've hit two problems with one solution.
I'll replace this with what's down
The
there.
whole thing down there with what's down there, I mean, whatever your facade is.
So, but they need that
Here.
second box for, it's a witness.
Yeah, but that witness
Somebody
box can be
testifies, right?
maneuvered, can be moved anywhere, can be moved further over, I mean.
I don't see why we need to sit up there like we're in court.
Right.
Well, I know during COVID, it was all down here, and then when that ended, suddenly we had to make this ready again, so I don't know.
I would be comfortable taking the tables that are there, sliding that back a little for the presenters, and then putting another set of, we're talking about twice a month. I mean, if we had even folding tables
And
with a cloth.
with a tablecloth, that's what we did for the school committee meetings in Brewer.
Right.
Yep.
And it was just white plastic tables with clean, with new tablecloths on them. And
You like that, Judge's chamber?
I think, the space that you're talking about, maintaining
I
the
think the
space,
space is an
and the rest of
issue.
it, the main space is an issue, and cluttering up and angling things off to look like it's not, it is not the image I think you want down there. I think if you achieve the same thing with what you've got right there now, utilizing this, it accomplishes two purposes, that and maintaining the space and not cluttering up with angled desks. I mean, whether it's for once a month, twice a month, or whatever, the optics aren't that good.
Probably the first thing you should do is see if the judge would even
Well,
wish for
that's,
that to be, I mean,
well, I'm gonna take them out for beer. I'll let
there you
know.
go.
So what Hillary told me earlier, he'd be happy sitting on a milk crate. So I think this judge is extremely laid back. I don't know what the future holds.
It's all done by then.
Yeah,
make
it'll be all
changes
done,
and-
and he'll need our approval to get it changed.
Okay.
So, and regardless, so this room here has some significant changes. One that I'm concerned with is power. I don't know that we have the power available to make 8 or 10 cubicle offices in here. I am on the board at the electrician's office for them to come take a look. But
Are you looking for cubicles or enclosed offices?
I believe she's had WB Mason here already to give her a floor plan of what the cubicles would look like.
And that would not include this being here.
I would say correct. I think that would all come out. But then that raises a bunch of questions. We'll have to put a new floor in here. We'll have to change the carpet and everything.
Well, we did get probably 20 years out of this
Oh, I
carpet,
think we
didn't
got more than that, but it certainly looks like it anyway. But
we? Would you see maybe that laminate flooring as opposed to carpeting?
Carpet tile.
One of the things I love is, I think it's interface carpet tiles.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
you don't glue them down. And they claim they're like snowflakes, regardless of what color or pattern you get, no two carpet tiles are alike.
Okay.
So I spilled my coffee on this one,
You just pop it up.
and the only thing you glue down are the four corners, and it's a piece of tape. The carpet tiles are built with a slight suction cup shape to them. So if you have a nice, I don't know what's underneath this, but if it's a nice smooth floor, it will, one tile, you have a hard time pushing it. You connect 6, 8, 10, that just gets stronger.
Yeah, reinforced.
And they're a little more expensive than regular carpet tile, but they last like iron. I put them in several offices that I've redone over the years, and we actually bought them for the video arraignment room in the jail. But the floor installer that
Those
they,
1 foot square?
2 by 2 foot, they're 4 foot, they're 2 foot by 2 foot, so they're 4 foot
4
square, 4 square feet. The floor installer, English was certainly not their first language, and they glued them all down, so. So we paid a little extra for tile you didn't have to glue down, and they glued them down, so, anyway.
Yeah.
But I love it, so I would, and oddly enough, speaking with my crew, they would rather have a carpet than, but I think ideally they would have like that vinyl plank that you don't have to refinish as much, or at all.
Planking doesn't work.
One thing that they don't want is anywhere is like terrazzo or vinyl tile. so.
Oh,
But it's just, especially like, not picking on the DA's office, but they do like to move around a lot. They move offices quite often. And if this were vinyl tile, people were pushing things back and forth, it makes it more difficult for the people that maintain them, so. I know Hillary does, if you are moving down there, she wanted that TV to go down into the courtroom. I don't know where I would hang that.
No, there's two bigs going up, third floor.
Well, I'm just telling you what I've been, the information I've been given.
Yeah.
And there's a TV in there right now that she wants to, so anyway. But whether it's this room, the room upstairs, or the probate court, there is significant work to be done. I know Brandon was talking earlier, we did look at the third floor, and he would be more apt to have a computer floor installed up there if we were gonna use that room. And oddly enough, we have ramps, we step down to get into that room anyway, so that would fit the space. I don't particularly like those floors, but.
If we're gonna take that option, it would probably just be that front portion where we would sit the commission. I don't see us putting a full computer floor in there. That's just my opinion, but I like, based on the crowd we normally get, I like the closer activity the probate court is on the first floor. So all of us old people don't have to walk upstairs.
I've seen some meetings you've had here with quite the crowd. That would be very, very cozy down there, yeah.
Yeah, well, if we do the budget committee, we can do it upstairs.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the charter or the bylaws that requires us to regularly meet in the county courthouse, if I'm not mistaken. So,
of those three, of those issues right there, that's all I have.
okay.
A couple of different things in the jail. That we've changed the fixtures in their change-up room several times. And they have a porcelain sink and a porcelain john. And we have found stainless to replace those. There's a huge fear that I replaced a broken toilet in the library a couple of years ago. Somebody had snapped it off and tried to, thankfully it was too heavy for him to pick up. He tried to use it. I don't know if you've ever broken a toilet or a sink, but broken porcelain is sharp as a razor. And if some new arrest ever came out of there with a chunk of the sink in his hand, he can kill somebody. And some of the COs have asked me since I've been here
Switch to stainless.
to change to stainless. And we looked at putting a single unit in there, but that is not ADA compatible.
What's the cost differential?
Less than a lawsuit.
What would the cost be for the porcelain as opposed to the stainless steel?
As opposed to porcelain,
Yeah,
there'd be no cost. We have to replace the faucet that's broken right now.
or just the faucet?
But the threat of that being broken is real. I mean, they tear that room up sometimes. And that's how this current faucet's broken. The incoming arrest snapped it off, so. The stainless units I don't have a price from the plumber yet, but my guess I would roughly say $1,000 for the
What's a
plumber.
single basin?
It's a single basin sink, and a toilet, but they're separate units. I don't have the cost because these companies that, like Metcraft is one and Willoughby's another, we can't buy from them. They sell it to their sales agent. Can't buy from the sales agent. The sales agent then sells it to a house like FW Webb or Bangor Pipe. So I don't have the price yet. I did ask to have it by today, but I don't have it. What those units would cost to get delivered to FW Webb. I don't have that right now, but that's something that I would like to the change I would like to make. Obviously, you can't agree to it not knowing what's gonna cost. But my guess is probably in the $3,000 to $4,000.
Just the one unit?
One sink and one toilet.
I mean, that's all the number we need.
That's all that's in there. Yeah, there's just if you go into that change-up room off to the right, there's a single sink, and about 6-8 feet away, there's a single toilet. Again, we have a stainless combo unit on hand. The price would be about the same because we'd have to change all the plumbing, but we can't use it because that sink isn't ADA compatible. And that room has to stay ADA. Lastly is the new valves. Well, this is a two-part thing. The new valves we're installing, somehow when I got here, the storage tank was about 125 degrees. In my experience, that's too low. The temperature needs to be at least 140 to make sure you don't have any bugs growing in the hot water tank, like listeria and other things. So we jacked it up 3 years ago. Well, just recently, we've finally got water in the jail that's about 130 degrees going to their sinks and things. That's too hot. So I want to keep the tank at 140, 150, but we can't be putting 130 degree water into a cell, that's above the state limit, and someone will get burned. So I've asked the plumber to look at putting a mixing station, like a bigger version of what we all have on our shower, or that we have in the jail already for the showers. But to put a mixing station in the boiler room that would knock that down to 120 before it goes into the building. And again, he had promised a price for today, and I don't have it. But I'll come to you when I have that to get approval for that.
Are these things we could do with ARPA money?
There might be some room in there left.
I'm thinking it would be 10 grand, so 10, 12 grand.
For the mixing
For the
station,
mixing valve, yeah.
and then 3, 4 for the,
Yeah. And the 130 degree water that we're now sending into jail is burning up our brand new electronic valves that we put in. Burning up the solenoid on the hot water. Thankfully, they're only, including shipping, they're $50, $53 a piece. And if you ship one, it's like 17 bucks. I don't know what the shipping would be if I got 10 of them, but.
$70, and it's an inconvenience, and like you don't have better things to do than.
Well, I mean, it's a learning curve,
Yeah.
and so the valves work great, and now that the COs are getting used to them, it's greatly reduced the number of times we have to call Nichols to come in and fish something out of the drains.
Yeah.
So I will, my plan is to keep.
problem, right?
My plan is to keep, half a dozen or so of those solenoids on hand until we get the hot water issue under control.
I think that is a prudent use of resources.
And honestly, I was kind of surprised at how relatively cheap they are compared to the cost of the whole unit.
You're not sure how long it's gonna take to get the mixing valve set up?
Information? No, I don't. The problem is they don't know, the piping is 2.5 inch, and they don't solder, they don't sweat joints anymore. They have a Milwaukee tool and they don't know how much, they don't have a 2.5 inch one, they don't know how much that costs. So that's one of the things where.
No idea why all of a sudden it just started coming through.
No, I don't have it, and I think I wrote it in one of my emails. I don't know why all of a sudden we're getting this hot water in there, but for whatever reason we are.
It certainly is a safety issue and an operational issue, so, yeah, when you find out the numbers, let me know. I'll take a look at ARPA and see if we can toss it in there and squeeze it out.
Or can
Yeah.
imagine.
But I kind of feel a lot to be done, both of them ought to be done anyways, they're safety and operational
And also
concerns, so,
ASAP issues.
yeah. Okay.
Water tank, we do this. Yeah. I think that's about it.
Okay.
Okay.
I think one thing for Brian, I think I've also heard from people about, I know we were up against it with winter coming last year, but we got any plans to get any grass going across the street, the empty lot, my lot?
Well, there's the matting that we put down was supposed to have grass seed in it,
But that's just up on the slope, right?
that's all I had planned on trying to control in case, I didn't want the hill to
Right.
wash down.
Right,
Yeah.
and that is, I mean, in my opinion, I think we gotta make the lot a little more presentable.
Well, I got a price to hydro seed,
Right.
and it's in the tens, it's like $35,000, and to me, that's nuts.
And I did speak, Commissioner, I did speak with George about that. He's plenty of experience, and before you hydro seed, the hydro seed probably wouldn't grow in
Needs
that
some
mixture
loam
that's
over there,
in.
yeah.
Yeah, so you're talking a substantial investment. My plan for the next meeting was to have an RFP prepared for you to take a look at marketing the property.
Right.
So maybe, hopefully, if we can get that going, maybe if a commercial agent, maybe,
Get rid of that.
make some recommendation, or, like, it would involve some groundwork.
Want to check with the Douglas Garden Club?
I still like to trade their space for our space here. Parking space for
If
parking.
that might be, I don't know, might be a viable offer if we don't get much else for
I
it.
think it might be prudent to have, it's commercial land.
Yeah,
Have a commercial agent list it and get it out there in the,
see if it'll go, yeah.
for people who drive by it every day, probably a third of them have actually read the sign.
Right.
So that date is passed, I don't
Yeah.
know, what
Oh,
do you
yeah.
wanna do with
Oh,
that,
yeah.
or take it down?
I was gonna have Mary Ann order some white tape and just, get a white
Tape
vinyl,
over
something to look
the-
nice, a white vinyl clingy that matched it to put over, just a blank one. And,
Over the whole sign, or just the date?
just the date.
Yeah. Well, I'm surprised someone hasn't spray painted it for us. to be
Yeah.
honest with you.
Yeah, well, it's been nice,
You want that?
they've respected it. I don't know, you can have it.
Okay,
Any other questions?
Nope.
not for me.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I see Miss Brenda snuck in behind you.
I don't know.
Did you want to tackle financial today? or-
I noticed on the plan, the date was wrong,
Oh,
so I sent a new one up to Mary Ann, and she showed me nothing.
oh,
Yeah, I would prefer if we put it off, I gotta
Yeah, I
get
get it.
some.
yeah, okay.
sign the tan.
Flying tonight.
Yeah, let's sign the tan.
Yeah,
I thought you signed the tan.
We've already signed it.
I want it.
We don't sign the tan.
Is this
no, this is a tan
Is this
update.
the tan?
It's a tan
I don't
update.
sign it.
Oh.
It's just,
Scott,
Oh, I'm going,
Oh.
sorry.
that's
Oh,
okay.
it's just gotten in.
Yeah.
it was basically to update you, like when they do a transfer, so, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, Brenda, or just can you run through a quick, how much have we borrowed, short-term borrowing from ARPA?
6.5,
Okay, and tan is 1 million?
it's just 1 million.
For a total of
which-
7.5, yeah. She's also done a real nice job with first quarter financials for you. I know she's worked with Glenn a little bit on it. And, carry
Oh,
forward.
carry forwards, yeah.
You haven't seen those for a while.
They have copies.
Yep. Yeah, there should be copies in your books. Basically what that is the 7,000 accounts in their budget. So like if a department has 5,000 in their office equipment, you remember, and they'll use 4, they have $1,000 left over. At the end of the year, once we get into about March and things have funneled through, the list is usually brought up here to the commissioners, and when you bless it, they can put that in their associated escrow accounts.
You get a copy of that.
I'm familiar with this. Not this particular, I'm familiar with the
What is that?
eminent domain along the bridge in Old Town.
Oh, yes, I guess the gentleman came in just prior to the meeting. That'll run through your,
Venture district.
you're gonna go to one state claims
Yeah, I go through
commission.
state claim, but it requires a commission on
Do we
it.
have anything else?
Yep.
I think do you have anything else, Scott?
I have a couple of things that Yeah, each one in,
That would be, fine.
and you can take them and run.
Okay.
I've stopped, I've looked at this place before down there. Another guy has a property down there. And the easement for, it going into his property and tore out all his trees and everything else, which I
Oh,
never remember, it was
guys-
like $1 million.
Yeah, motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
Good one.
Do you cover everything else you got?